Now Renzi rides the scandal banks. Many should apologize. No of Cassini to the extension requested by Brunetta. Matteo Renzi has found, perhaps, the way to go back to the polls. Or so hopefully. The Bank of Italy returns to the center of the political clash, and the secretary of the Democratic Party has decided to ride what is emerging from the Commission of Investigation led by Pier Ferdinando Cassini. We have always said, time is a gentleman. The Commission has shown it even in these hours. The Democratic Party has been accused for years. Today there are many who should apologize. We were not the problem. And again, but now we do not want to reopen controversy. He adds, what has happened is teaching for the future and helping families and small businesses to have access to credit. On the banks we have a conscience and a clean record, Renzi told Laria Chatira, and who speaks of conflict of interests on the Etruria affair. The Secretary Dem replies, it's so false that we were the ones who threw off the board of Etruria. There would have been a conflict of interest if we had done the opposite, if we had defended that board. What has emerged, continues, is that the criminal responsibility in that affair does not concern the father of the woods, and intellectual honesty should lead us to say that while there were those who made rubles and scandals, we have thrown out the board of Etruria. And to those who ask him if, in order to clarify the issue, it is not the case that the Banking Committee hears the ex-side of Unicredit Gistuni and Maria Elena Boschi, Renzi argues. From the auditions in committee banks it has been shown that the PD of Pastisai has not made. And on what are the faults of each other banks, he argues, we do not make mistakes. We do not confuse the guards with thieves. The fault of the bank's mistakes is the banks of banks, managers, all those who have not governed the banks, and they are of the opinion that they have to pay. But, adds Renzi, in these 2.5 years has always come out of the controversy that on the banks was the fault of the Democratic Party. We were friends of bankers. Now we went to see if the lack of supervision is the fault of politics or technicians, and what has emerged is that the PD has not messed up. Banks, Cassini, unrealistic hypothesis prolonging work. It seems to me an unrealistic hypothesis, completely out of every possibility, above all because it would also be singular in form and in the seat. So the president of the Parliamentary Committee of Inquiry into Banks, Pier Ferdinando Cassini, replied to the reporters about the possibility, put forward in particular by the vice president of the Commission, Renato Brunetta, to extend the work of the Commission by inserting an ad hoc provision in the Mille Prorogue decree, in order not to be blocked by the dissolution of the chambers. Banks, Cassini, tying ourselves to the facts, things did not work. I try to keep the Commission safe from polemics and to tie it to the facts, and the facts are that things did not work as they should for the banks. This was answered by the chairman of the Parliamentary Committee of Inquiry into Banks, Pier Ferdinando Cassini, to the question of reporters on the controversy that arose yesterday following the hearing of the public prosecutor of the Republic of Arezzo, Roberto Rossi, on the Banca Etruria case. Speaking at the end of today's hearing of the Chitti prosecutor, Francesco Testa, on the case of the Cassa di Risparmio di Chitti, Cassini added, on the other hand, if things had worked, there would not have been a need for a commission of parliamentary inquiry.